Well, a brand new report this morning suggesting the CIA is moving forward with a plan to arm rebels in Syria. We know you've heard a lot about this. According to the Wall Street Journal, our government is sending weapons to militant forces by way of Jordan, providing them with training and small arms and ammunition. We'll get into militant forces in just a moment and what exactly that means. While we've heard the president say Assad must go, there's no word on what the exact mission of the reported operation is. That's why we're talking to Stephen Yates. He's a former deputy assistant to the vice president for national security affairs during the Bush administration. He's now the CEO of DC International Advisory. So there's a couple different parts to this. Let's take it bit by bit. Jordan, going by way of Jordan with weapons to arm the good guys, our friends in Syria. In general, your thoughts on that?
Well, number one, we're entering a mission seemingly very late in a process. And so I think there's very, very high risk. The state of Jordan right now is at great risk of itself. So we're going through Jordan, presumably to accomplish a mission in Syria. But there's over 1 million refugees in Jordan. That state may not be stable of itself. And so I think there's a big question about what is our overall mission, period. Is it just humanitarian intervention? We haven't heard anyone articulate that. Is it to secure Syria or to get Assad to go? But then what about the broader regional instability?
It's interesting you mentioned that. We know that Secretary Kerry is back in Jordan again today. I believe it's his 5th trip there. And although we haven't had the official report that these arms are going through Jordan, we just know that one of the cabinet members is there today. Here's what a citizen in Jordan has to say about what we're doing in their country, saying, quote, "We think that the West generally and the United States specifically, if they want to be positive to our area, they have to finish the conflict inside Syria by supporting the Syrian Free Army, not by bringing the soldiers to our country."
Yeah.
Stop nibbling around the edges. Go directly in. What do you think about that thought?
Well, there are a lot of echoes between the first Persian Gulf War and the consultations that were going on at that time and what we're hearing now. Basically, people in the region know that there is basically fuel spread all over, ready to go aflame across the region. Sectarian divisions, regional rivalries, etc. They want help, but only if you're serious, only if you're going to finish the job. There was a perception of a partial effort in the first Gulf War that left a lot unstable and unsatisfied in the region. And they worry about half measures on Syria doing something similar.
You know, we've heard about certain arms routes to Syria in the past. And I just want to mention to our viewers, there's these military exercises that we're taking part in Jordan. We're leaving several hundred troops behind after this is done just because right now. The last time we talked about arm routes to Syria, our Jennifer Griffin and Adam Housley did a report that said that Benghazi, our situation in Benghazi, Libya, was trying to secure arms to send them to Turkey, to then send them to Syria. That was one report that we had. And obviously, although we cannot connect the dots completely on that, we see the risk and the tension and the danger associated with any sort of arms dealing. We know it's not a, totally secure business sometimes. Just talk to us about that aspect as well, about the danger that comes with being the provider of these arms and where they eventually end up.
Unfortunately, there are no safe options. Even not to intervene is also not necessarily safe because arms are flowing into that region anyway. Russia's been a generous provider. Hezbollah's provided people and material. Iran has announced they're going to send 4,000 foreign fighters into the conflict. So unfortunately, even standing outside is not really a safe option by itself. Being able to vet 100% who these people are is an impossibility. And if we're not going to have our own forces go in, then we're going to have to go on trust. And we're going to have to rely on our allies to help us identify lesser risks. Now, I think it would be an enormous mistake for the United States to be the lead agent in this. Number one, we don't have a declared mission. We haven't prepared our public. Even if you try a no-fly zone or arming people, you can end up with, people might remember the EP3 incident with China. You put our planes over someone's airspace, they can come down. And by doing even these minimal missions, we're still violating someone's sovereignty. It is an act of war in reasonable people's minds with no declaration, no end point, no real mission.
Interesting. We'll see if we get some more clarity as we hear more and the days go by. Again, Stephen, great to have you.
Thank you very
so much. Rick?